Stop whatever you're doing. This moment is not ordinary. It is divine, and your entire future hinges on what I am about to reveal. You've been scrolling, rushing, surviving, trying to hold it all together while the noise of the world drowns out the voice you desperately need to hear, mine. I did not let you come across this message by accident. Heaven has orchestrated this second for one purpose: to interrupt the downward spiral of fear, confusion, guilt, and exhaustion that's been silently controlling your life. You have no idea how close you are to a divine turning point. This is not a time for delay, doubt, or hesitation. This is not another motivational word. This is not another emotional push. This is a spiritual alarm that I, the King of Kings, have sounded personally for you. What I'm about to release over your life will not just comfort you. It will command change, expose lies, and unleash the direction you've been begging me for behind closed doors. I've watched you try to carry what was never yours to hold. I've seen you give your energy to everyone else while silently bleeding inside. You smile, but I know you're breaking. You serve, but I know you're tired. You pretend, but I know you're drowning. And that is why I had to step in now, because what comes next cannot wait. The enemy has set a trap just ahead of you. But if you stay still and lean in right now, I will disarm it before your foot even comes near. I am speaking to the wounded part of you that cries at night and doesn't tell anyone. I am addressing the locked part of your heart that shut down because it got tired of hoping. And I am commanding all spiritual interference to be silenced so you can finally hear me, not through a storm, not through thunder, but through a gentle whisper that will shatter every chain. You are about to be repositioned, not in your strength but in mine. This is not about deserving, it's about destiny. You thought I was ignoring you, but I was preparing this interruption. You thought I had moved on from you, but I was waiting for this moment when your heart would be soft enough to listen. So listen, not with fear, but with full expectation. You have just stepped into holy ground. The atmosphere around you is shifting. Your room, your heart, your mind, they're all aligning with what I'm releasing now. I am about to address things you haven't spoken of in years. I am about to pull out what religion buried and what trauma silenced. I am about to breathe on the dream you thought was dead. But I need your undivided attention. Not a part of your heart, but all of it. Because what I am saying next is not just truth. It is deliverance, strategy, healing, instruction, and revival all at once. This is the message that hell hoped you'd miss. This is the breakthrough that darkness tried to delay. This is the beginning of a conversation that will not just restore you but reroute your entire path. You don't need another sign. This is it. You don't need to ask for confirmation. I am speaking plainly. So stop doubting. Stop second-guessing. Stop postponing obedience. Fix your focus. Eliminate distractions. Open the deepest part of your heart. Because what I am about to say next will not only break every lie that's been spoken over your identity, but it will unlock the doors you forgot you were waiting to walk through. And I am not asking for your attention just to inspire. I am demanding it because this next word is a rescue. You've been exhausting yourself chasing what looks like progress, but it's leading you further away from the place I designed for you to flourish. I'm not impressed by motion that's misaligned with purpose. The pace you're running at has been applauded by people, but it's bankrupting your soul. You've made plans, plotted timelines, crafted goals, but none of them invited me in. And now you feel the ache. You're tired, but you don't know why. You're surrounded, yet you feel alone. That's not how I created you to live. I see how you've been trying to convince yourself that if you just keep going, it will all eventually make sense. But deep down, you know something is off. That's not confusion. That's conviction. That's me gently but firmly tugging at your heart to say, stop running toward things I never called you to. I am not in that relationship you're forcing to work. I'm not in that plan you built from fear. I'm not in that environment you keep returning to because it feels safe. I am standing on a different path, one that requires surrender before movement. This is not about speed, it's about submission. I am not asking you to run faster. I'm asking you to pause, because a divine redirection is on the table right now. You don't have to keep pretending you have clarity when all you have is chaos. I never required you to figure it out on your own. I required you to follow me. And I'm not hiding. I'm right here, calling you by name with urgency. Because every step forward without my voice is a step deeper into emptiness. I know the route that leads to peace. I designed it. You've been trying to reach your destiny without first confronting your direction. It ends now. I will not let you waste another day moving toward a counterfeit calling. You were never meant to live on autopilot. You were designed to walk with me, hand in hand, breath by breath. So let me reorder your priorities. Let me remove what's pulling you off course. Let me dismantle the illusion that busyness equals obedience. I am not impressed by your schedule. I'm concerned about your soul. You're afraid that if you stop now, you'll fall behind. But what if the very place you've been trying to reach is not even where I want you to arrive? Wouldn't you rather be 5 steps behind in my will than 1,000 steps ahead in your own? This is your divine U-turn. I am not condemning you. I am calling you back to alignment. There's a reason your spirit has been restless, why your dreams have felt heavy, why your prayers seem to bounce back empty. It's not because I've left you. It's because I've been waiting for you to come back to the path where I can guide you clearly. You followed voices that sounded spiritual but weren't sent by me. You've leaned on your understanding when my word was always the map. But I don't need you to explain yourself. I need you to respond. The time for drifting is over. The window for correction is open now. If you trust me, I will reroute you without shame. I will restore the time that misdirection stole. I will redeem the parts of your life you thought were disqualified because of wrong turns. Your story is not a failure. It's about to become a testimony of how grace meets you at the crossroads. But you must slow down. Don't confuse movement with momentum. Let me become your compass again. Every breakthrough you've been begging for is found in this one decision, to stop going your way and start following mine. And I promise you this, where I'm about to lead you will not just make sense, it will make history through you. But it all begins with this sacred turning point. Come back to my path before your speed carries you into something you cannot undo. You've been holding things in your heart that were never your assignment to carry. You've picked up burdens that belong at my feet, not on your shoulders. The heaviness you feel isn't proof of your strength. It's a sign you've forgotten that I am the one who carries you. I didn't ask you to fix everyone. I didn't ask you to be the savior of situations that are breaking you in private. I didn't ask you to wear a mask of strength while you're silently collapsing inside. I am the burden bearer, and you've been attempting to play a role that only I can fulfill. That silent pressure you're constantly under. That's not holiness, that's self-reliance. That's the quiet belief that it's all up to you, and if you let go, everything will fall apart. But that belief is not from me. I never called you to operate from burnout. I called you to walk in dependence, not depletion. Look at your hands. They've been gripping expectations, outcomes, fears, timelines, and responsibilities that were never part of your divine assignment. You're afraid to loosen your grip because you think surrender equals failure. But in my kingdom, surrender is the beginning of transformation. If you would simply release what you're clutching, the opinions, the wounds, the silent vows you made to protect yourself, I will place something in your hands that will not exhaust you but elevate you. I didn't design your soul to be crushed under pressure. I designed it to thrive under peace. That constant tension you feel, that inner tightness, it's your spirit trying to tell you that you're out of balance. It's not noble to hold on to pain. It's not holy to carry every crisis on your back. You are not the glue that holds everything together. I am. And right now, I am inviting you to drop the weight, not just emotionally, but spiritually. That internal war you're fighting, the guilt for resting, the fear of being misunderstood, the anxiety over things you can't control. Those are not my burdens. I don't call you by your crisis. I call you by your identity. You are not the fixer. You are not the strong one. You are not the one who can never fall apart. You are my beloved, and I care more about your heart than your performance. Even when you collapse in silence, I'm still holding you in mercy. Even when you try to be strong for everyone else, I'm asking you to be honest with me. You don't have to pretend with me. You can crumble in my arms and know that I will still call you chosen. Your value is not in what you carry, it's in who you belong to. And you belong to me. I know you've been betrayed by those who should have helped carry the load. I know people placed expectations on you that they never intended to lift with you. I know you've been exhausted from smiling while your soul screams for rest. But I see you. I've seen every long night, every forced yes, every time you picked up a weight just so someone else wouldn't feel it. And I'm proud of your compassion, but I'm calling you to wisdom now. Lay it down. Every emotional bag, every unsaid worry, every invisible pressure. Place it in my hands, and watch how light your spirit becomes. You were never meant to be this heavy. You were meant to walk in freedom, not fatigue. So come closer, child. Empty your arms. I have rest that will restore you, not just physically, but soul deep. You are not failing by releasing. You are finally healing. And I promise you, what's ahead of you doesn't require what you're dragging behind you. There are voices pulling you in every direction, some loud, some subtle, but all competing for your focus. You've been surrounded by endless opinions, distractions, comparisons, and digital noise that promise clarity but only leave you more uncertain. I see how your heart is craving stillness, yet your surroundings keep pushing motion. I've watched you try to tune me in, but the frequency of this world has drowned out the tone of heaven. You weren't made to thrive in chaos. You were made to recognize my voice like a familiar melody in a crowded room. But you can't do that when every corner of your life is filled with static. That anxious racing in your mind. That overwhelming tension that never truly leaves. It's the sound of cluttered spaces I never asked you to enter. It's not that I've stopped speaking. It's that your ears have been filled with echoes that don't belong to me. The world shouts urgency, but I speak with certainty. The world thrives on confusion, but I lead with precision. You keep hoping for peace, but you haven't withdrawn from the volume of everything else. I'm not asking you to run harder. I'm inviting you to step away. Not forever, but long enough to hear what truly matters. Long enough to detect my whisper in the depths of your soul again. This generation has learned to live with noise like it's normal, but it's not holy. I didn't teach you to survive by numbing your senses. I designed you to hear me clearly, daily, gently. The notifications, the opinions, the rush, all of it is keeping your spirit overstimulated and your discernment dulled. That's why you're confused even after prayer. That's why peace escapes you even after worship. You're feeding your soul 5 minutes of truth and 24 hours of noise. And I love you too much to let you normalize it. Come closer. Closer than comfort, closer than fear. I want to whisper things into your soul that no screen can offer and no influencer can replicate. But I won't compete for space. I won't shout over what you allow to stay louder than me. If you make room, I'll fill it. If you hush the noise, I'll speak. And when I speak, it won't just soothe your heart. It will reroute your entire life. The clarity you've been begging for isn't in more advice. It's in my whisper. The breakthrough you're desperate for won't be found in panic. It will be revealed in stillness. I am not like the others. I do not speak with manipulation. I do not rush your ears. I speak like a lover drawing close, a shepherd calming his lamb, a father leaning in to share a secret with his child. And right now, I'm inviting you to step into a quiet place. Not just physically, but spiritually. Let me pull you into a dimension of silence, where your soul can breathe again. I don't need you to be perfect there. I just need you to be present. Put down the performance. Release the striving. Turn off what demands your attention and gives you nothing in return. Just you and me. In that space, I will begin to uncover mysteries you never imagined. I will reveal healing you didn't know was possible. I will restore parts of your identity that you forgot you had. But first, the noise must go. The loudness of lies, the pressure of pretending, the commentary of people who don't know your calling, none of it can stay in this sacred space. I want to whisper to you again like I did when your faith was young and undistracted. I want to reignite that childlike awe that used to burn so bright before the world grew louder than your wonder. But you must want me more than you want constant stimulation. You must want truth more than you crave entertainment. You must want my voice more than you desire the comfort of fitting in. I'm ready to whisper the next chapter of your destiny, but it starts with you stepping away from the crowd and leaning into my silence. You've asked me why I didn't respond sooner. You've wondered where I was during the moments when pain swallowed your breath and your soul trembled in isolation. I heard your heart cry when your lips couldn't form the words. I saw the nights you buried your face in the pillow, asking if I had turned away. You assumed my silence was absence, but it was precision. I wasn't ignoring you. I was orchestrating something so precise, so divinely timed, that any earlier answer would have been incomplete. You couldn't see it then, but if I had moved before now, the foundation would have cracked under the weight of the blessing I'm about to pour. I needed you to be still while I rearranged everything you couldn't see. You called it silence, but it was sacred restraint. I wasn't punishing you by withholding clarity. I was protecting you from stepping into something premature. You weren't ready then, but you are now. Your heart has been softened by waiting, your discernment sharpened by stillness, your spirit purified by surrender. You've grown in the shadows, even though it felt like abandonment. And I am proud of you, not because you understood everything, but because you kept looking for me even when it seemed like I wasn't there. That kind of trust moves heaven. That kind of hunger unlocks doors that effort never could. Now, listen closely. I've broken the silence, not because I've changed, but because you have. You're no longer the person who needs constant signs to believe. You're the one who's beginning to trust my character even in the fog. You're becoming the one who leans on my promises, even when the process feels delayed. And now that you've come to this posture, where you're not chasing answers more than you're chasing me, I'm ready to speak the next part. My timing has never been random. It's been working for your protection, not against your desires. You see, if I had allowed you to enter that relationship, that opportunity, that door you begged me for months ago, you would have thought it was a reward. But in truth, it would have been a trap. What looked good wasn't sent by me. What seemed right was rooted in compromise. I waited until you could see beyond appearances. And now, I can trust you with revelation. I'm not giving you delayed leftovers. I'm releasing something designed exactly for this version of you. The you that has wrestled, the you that has been pruned, the you that has finally learned to let go. You thought silence meant I stopped working, but I never stopped crafting your breakthrough behind the curtain. I've been placing people in position, aligning resources, rearranging spiritual battles, clearing territories, all while you thought nothing was happening. You asked for proof I was still with you, and I gave you breeze every morning. You asked for signs, and I kept you from destruction more times than you know. And now, this moment is me confirming what you were unsure of all along. I was never far. I was waiting for the right second to unveil what I've been building with my own hands. This is that second. The shift begins now. The silence ends here, and I will not whisper anymore. I will thunder my direction into your life with unmistakable force. You'll begin to feel it. The clarity, the peace, the assurance you thought had vanished. You'll begin to move differently, not because everything is easy, but because you're finally moving with me instead of wondering where I am. And don't be surprised when I start confirming things quickly. You've already paid the price in patience. Your obedience in silence has set the stage for accelerated clarity. So when things start unfolding swiftly, don't question it. Just follow. Don't hesitate. Just obey. I've been waiting for this intersection between your readiness and my revelation, and it has finally arrived. You thought the waiting meant I had closed the door permanently, but I need you to understand something sacred. When I pause, it's never to reject. It's always to position. What felt like a denial was actually me guarding what was growing underground. You couldn't see it, but I've been constructing something far larger than your prayers asked for. If I had answered the moment you asked, you would have settled for a temporary relief instead of the permanent shift I'm about to release. I am not a God who rushes. I am precise, calculated, sovereign. I see the end before the beginning, and every moment of waiting was me positioning you for something beyond your limited expectation. You've been measuring progress with the wrong tools, timelines, approval, applause, but I measure your preparation in stillness, obedience, and yielded trust. The silence you endured wasn't wasted. It stretched your faith so that you could carry the magnitude of what's now arriving. You've been standing on the edge of something unfamiliar, and you thought the delay meant the plan was canceled. But child, it was only being upgraded. I had to hold you back until the exact alignment was ready, spiritually, emotionally, geographically, relationally. If I had pushed you ahead before it all clicked into place, you would have experienced warfare without armor. But now, you're equipped. Your spirit has matured in secret battles. Your perspective has been cleansed of ego. Your motives have been refined by fire. I couldn't release what you prayed for until you were ready to handle it without breaking under its weight. And now you are. Now you can receive not just the provision, but the responsibility, the platform, the influence, the healing, the purpose. It's all been prepared, but not just for you, with you. You were never being punished. You were being developed. The valley didn't steal from you. It trained you. Every detour, every pause, every closed path was me guiding you through a route that confusion couldn't corrupt. You thought you missed your moment, but I'm the author of time. I control every opening, every intersection, every divine appointment. Nothing has passed you by. What's coming hasn't been handed off to someone else. It's been reserved, and now it's being delivered, with your name on it. And when it arrives, you'll realize it wasn't just about what you received. It was about who you became while waiting. That's why the breakthrough will feel different this time, not rushed, not fragile, not forced, but rooted, weighty, undeniable. You won't have to strive to hold on to it. It will fit like it was made for you, because it was. And even though you thought you were being overlooked, I was actually ensuring that nothing and no one could sabotage what I intended for your life. That delay shielded you from stepping into something unfinished. That delay preserved you from trusting the wrong voices. That delay crushed the pride that would have ruined the blessing before it could mature. So now, when it begins, walk in it boldly. Don't drag in the fear of the past. Don't rehearse what didn't happen. Don't shrink under the weight of gratitude. On the arrival, step into it knowing that every second of waiting was sacred ground. I know you didn't see it coming like this. I know you expected one path and I took you on another. But that's because I know the terrain better than you do. I see the storm before it forms. I see the people's hearts before they speak. I know the traps that haven't even been set yet. And I detoured you on purpose, not to frustrate, but to preserve. So let go of the resentment toward the weight. And served you. It saved you. It strengthened you. And now, stand tall, because what's unfolding next is not just an answered prayer. It's a divine setup that's about to leave you speechless. Not a single word you whispered in pain was lost. I gathered every syllable, every groan, every silent plea you thought went unnoticed. While you were waiting for evidence that I heard you, I was already working with what you released in faith. You assumed because there wasn't an instant shift that your prayers vanished into the void. But I want you to know, they never hit the ground. Heaven has an altar where your cries are not only stored, they are honored. The atmosphere of my throne is scented with your perseverance. I didn't ignore your intercession. I treasured it. I didn't discard your petitions. I received them like a fragrance of trust that pierced through the noise of this world and reached the highest courts of glory. I know there were times you prayed without strength, just barely enough breath to whisper my name. I saw you tremble through every help me and break through every why haven't you answered yet. And I want you to know that every one of those moments was not only seen, they were sacred. Your voice may have trembled, but your faith was thunder in the unseen realm. The enemy hoped to wear you down before you could see the result. He whispered lies that told you I wasn't listening, that nothing was moving, that you were wasting your voice. But I was bending low the entire time, capturing your prayers like priceless oil. You didn't see it, but the shift started the moment you believed I was enough, even when nothing changed around you. That kind of trust moves more than your situation. It moves the heavens. Angels have been dispatched because of the prayers you released through tears. Battles have been turned because of declarations you made when your heart was barely holding on. And I need you to understand this. There is a system in the spirit that operates on divine timing, not human panic. While you were saying, "Lord, did you hear me?" I was saying, "Child, I'm already on it." There are things still unfolding now, slowly in your eyes, but fully active in mine. You didn't just pray into the air. You legislated in the spirit. You decreed hope into rooms filled with despair. You called healing into broken places you couldn't see. You stood on my word even when the ground shook beneath you. And that faith, even as small as a mustard seed, was not weak. It was potent. It was prophetic. It was powerful. That's why the warfare intensified. Because your prayers were not empty rituals. They were dangerous to darkness. They pierced through layers of resistance. They triggered movements you couldn't track. That's why things got harder after you prayed, because the spirit realm responded. And though it looked like silence, I was actually reinforcing your foundation. I was ensuring that the answer wouldn't arrive when you were still too fragile to carry it. I wasn't waiting because you were ignored. I was waiting because you were important. And now, the bowls of intercession that have been filling are tipping. Your words are echoing again, not back at you, but down toward you, wrapped in the form of miracles, instruction, timing, and vindication. Some answers will come in ways you never expected. Some delays will subtly make sense. And some prayers you forgot you even spoke will now reappear in the form of doors you did knock on opening without resistance. But it all started when you chose to keep praying instead of walking away. Your consistency became a key. Your tears became seeds. And your quiet moments of trust have become the very ground I'm about to build something beautiful upon. So don't regret the time you spent in prayer. It wasn't for nothing. It was the blueprint. It was the catalyst. And now, the harvest is starting to rise. You may have become skilled at hiding your pain from others, but I have never been distant from your suffering. Not once did you cry alone. Not once did you collapse in silence without my presence enveloping the room. Those moments when you felt too weak to explain your grief, when the weight in your chest felt too heavy to carry into words, I was there, catching the emotions you couldn't express. Even the tears that never rolled down your face but stayed locked behind tired eyes. I saw them, and they mattered. I didn't need you to cry out loud for me to notice. I didn't need you to break in front of others to qualify for comfort. I didn't wait for you to explain your heartbreak before moving toward you. My love is not delayed by silence. I move at the speed of your ache. What others overlook, I absorb. What others ignore, I cradle. When no one else noticed the quiet pain sitting beside you while you worked, smiled, or served, I did. I leaned in closer each time your heart whispered, "Lord, I don't think I can keep doing this." You didn't need to scream for me to respond. Your smallest sigh was enough to reach my throne. You see, I don't just count your tears. I understand the language they speak. I know which ones were born out of betrayal, which came from loss, which were soaked in confusion, and which carried the deep yearning for answers you never dared to ask. I know how some days you didn't cry because you were strong, but because you had no strength left to hold the pieces together. And still, you pressed on, thinking no one noticed. But I did. And I was never just watching. I've been weaving those unspoken sorrows into the very fabric of your healing. Every drop of pain has purpose when it falls into my hands. Nothing you've wept over has gone unseen or unused. I specialize in turning sorrow into sacred strength. What broke you in one season is becoming the very oil I'll use to anoint your next. What made you feel forgotten is becoming the space where my nearness will overwhelm you. I am not disgusted by your weeping. I am drawn to it. Not because I want you to remain in suffering, but because I'm the only one who knows how to turn it into beauty without asking you to forget it. I don't rush you through your pain. I sit with you in it, until you're ready to rise. And soon, you will rise. Not pretending like it never happened, but rising stronger because of it. You've cried in the dark, but joy will soon meet you in the light. The tears that once soak your pillow will one day water the ground where purpose begins to bloom. People may never fully understand what you went through. They may never see how deeply it cut or how long it lingered. But I do. And I will repay you, not just with blessings, but with restoration that goes deeper than explanation. You will dare to prove to anyone what you endured. I will make the outcome undeniable. I will place evidence in your life so radiant that even those who doubt it will say, "Surely, the Lord was with them." Your pain was not weakness. Your crying was not a sign of defeat. It was a release, and I received it. Now, let me begin exchanging those hidden tears for healing that cannot be hidden. You've poured out more than you've shown, and I'm about to pour back more than you ever expected. I won't let those tears be wasted. They are becoming the very water that will nurture your next breakthrough. Long before you stepped into the battles you're facing now, I had already commissioned help. You may think you're walking into resistance unarmed, but I assure you, heavenly reinforcements have been stationed in the path you're about to take. What you're about to step into isn't unfamiliar to me. I've already gone before you, and my angels have too. These aren't symbols or metaphors. These are real, assigned messengers, positioned at intersections you haven't reached yet. They carry guidance, protection, intervention, and answers. But here's what you must understand. They are sent for alignment, not amusement. They don't appear for distraction, but for direction. They respond to my voice, not your emotions. That's why I'm urging you now, be attentive. Not every open door is divine, and not every delay is a denial. Sometimes my angels are standing still because you're rushing ahead. Sometimes they wait because you've drifted from the frequency I speak on. They are not your servants, they are mine, sent to assist you as you walk with me, not without me. They are activated by obedience, not just desperation. You keep asking, where is the help? But I already gave it. You must now choose to hear what doesn't flatter your flesh, to follow even when logic protests, to trust even when the road seems unmarked. These divine agents are not coming to entertain you. They are coming to enforce heaven's assignment over your life. They are carrying what you've prayed for, but if your heart is too distracted by noise, comparison, or fear, you won't recognize their presence. Some of the detours you've experienced weren't delays. They were angelic interventions steering you away from danger. You thought you were being denied, but you were actually being defended. That sudden peace you couldn't explain. That was a whisper from the unseen. That near disaster that shifted just in time. That was my hand through them. That person you felt led to avoid but couldn't say why. That was discernment ignited by divine warning. But here's the urgency. This next leg of your journey requires sharper discernment. The assignments I'm dispatching now are time-sensitive. If you continue entertaining familiar patterns, you'll miss unfamiliar glory. If you stay stuck listening to old voices, you'll be deaf to the new ones I've sent. I don't want you to walk into what's next unaware of the help that surrounds you. The battle ahead is not just physical. It is strategic, and it will require your spirit to be fully awake. You've cried out for help. Now be quiet enough to receive it. You've begged for breakthrough. Now be still enough to perceive it. I've sent confirmation ahead, but it won't always look like you expect. Sometimes the angelic will arrive through disruption. Sometimes it will look like loss. Sometimes it will come wrapped in a no, because I'm not just guiding you to something. I'm guiding you away from harm. You will begin to sense these divine signals more strongly, a tightening in your spirit, a sudden peace amid pressure, a strong push to pause when everything screams go. Do not ignore these moments. Do not overthink the prompting. You asked for help. Now honor its arrival. Your obedience is the permission they are waiting on. My presence will always confirm what I send, but you must tune out the static. Stop treating my messengers as optional. Stop assuming you can make it on instinct. I never created you to navigate alone. Heaven's assistance isn't a reward for perfection, it's a resource for alignment. Right now, I am mobilizing a movement around your life. What looks like stillness in the natural is a swarm of activity in the spirit. You're about to see divine interruptions, unusual timings, and accelerated connections. Don't fight though. Don't explain them away. Listen. Watch it. Move when I say. Because your next victory doesn't depend on chance. It depends on response. You've been walking through a maze of confusion, pulled in countless directions, constantly wrestling with decisions that leave you drained and uncertain. That fog you've been navigating wasn't just coincidence. It was engineered to wear you down. The adversary has been launching subtle schemes, not always through direct attack, but through detours disguised as harmless choices. He didn't need to destroy you outright, just disorient you enough that you stopped moving in alignment. His greatest weapon against you hasn't been obvious darkness. It's been disguised comfort, exhausting obligations, tempting shortcuts, and thought patterns that slowly distanced you from clarity. That mental fatigue you've carried, that lack of focus, that cycle of starting with passion but ending in confusion. That was all strategic. The goal was simple, to keep you too distracted to hear me, too busy to obey, too emotionally tangled to discern. But I say this with finality. The distraction season ends now. I am confronting what's been pulling your attention, and I'm severing every invisible string that's been tying your focus to things beneath your calling. You are not under attack because you are weak. You've been targeted because you're carrying something weighty, something dangerous to the kingdom of darkness. He saw it before you did, and that's why the distractions increased the moment you started seeking me more seriously. Every time you got close to stepping fully into alignment, chaos erupted, not because you were off track, but because you were too close to clarity. But now, I am illuminating what's been hidden in plain sight. I'm exposing the time thieves, the emotional drains, the mindsets that have been normalized but never ordained. That anxiety that creeps in when you try to sit still, it's not natural. That resistance you feel when you try to pray, it's not random. The persistent urge to stay entertained instead of still, it's not innocent. These aren't personality quirks. They're spiritual blockades. And I'm removing them. I am stripping away layers of mental fog that have been masquerading as harmless distractions but have actually been choking your discernment. You're about to think clearly again. You're about to feel light in your spirit again. You're about to walk in rooms and know exactly why you're there. Because I'm bringing an end to the enemy's confusion campaign. No more chasing things that leave you empty. No more emotional attachments to things I never called you to love. No more being drained by conversations that were never supposed to occupy your day. I'm reordering your appetite. The things that once satisfied you will now lose their grip. I'm recalibrating your rhythm. The noise that used to keep you comfortable will now feel foreign. Because I'm reintroducing you to peace, not the kind that comes from escape, but the kind that comes from full awareness of purpose. I'm calling you into sharpness. I'm waking up the part of you that's been sedated by constant stimulation. I'm restoring your ability to sit with me without needing to be entertained. You're going to hear me again, not through chaos, but through clarity. And yes, it may mean walking away from things that once felt necessary. Yes, it may mean separating from environments that once looked like blessings. But I'm asking for your focus, not your comfort. I'm not interested in competing with distractions. I'm interested in ruling your attention. Because what I'm about to reveal next requires undivided awareness. If you allow me to clear the clutter, I will fill that space with divine direction. But you must choose comfort or clarity, distraction or destiny. I won't force you, but I will call you. And today, I'm calling you higher. Today, I'm calling you back to a place where your heart doesn't feel stretched in 10 different directions. Today, I'm declaring war on everything that's kept your mind too occupied to hear my whisper. You were never meant to live split. You were meant to live whole. And I'm ready to restore your focus, starting now. The days of being paralyzed by what-ifs are ending. I've watched fear keep you small in places where you were created to move boldly. I've seen hesitation steal opportunities that were marked with your name. You've battled thoughts that made you question if you were ready, worthy, or enough. But I'm stepping into the very space fear has claimed, and I'm reclaiming your confidence. Not the shallow confidence the world promotes, but the unshakable knowing that I am with you. You've spent too long entertaining internal voices that didn't originate from me. Voices that amplified your insecurities, exaggerated your flaws, and echoed your worst-case scenarios until you forgot what truth sounded like. But now, I am elevating my voice inside of you. I'm restoring the ability to discern my tone, calm, steady, full of authority, yet wrapped in love. Fear roars, but I speak with weight that silences storms. A shift won't come from forcing bravery. It will come from deeper connection. I'm not asking you to act unafraid. I'm inviting you to walk closely enough with me that fear loses its grip. You won't need to fight your way into courage. My presence will produce it effortlessly. Every place where doubt once dictated your decisions is being transformed. I'm rewiring how you think, how you process, how you respond. That pattern of overthinking, I'm dismantling it. That spiral of second-guessing, I'm replacing it with divine instinct. You'll begin to notice the change, not just in your actions, but in your atmosphere. You'll sense it when you enter rooms and no longer shrink back. You'll feel it when the noise that used to shake you will no longer have power over your decisions, because I am bringing you into a season where fear will no longer be your dominant counselor. You've spent too many days second-guessing what I've already confirmed, hesitating at doors I opened, retreating from moments I prepared, not because you lacked desire, but because fear kept whispering lies louder than truth. You've known what I was calling you to, but fear always came dressed in logic, wrapped in doubt, covered in past wounds, echoing voices that made you feel incapable, unworthy, and unsafe. But I am confronting that now. That internal war, where my promises were constantly challenged by your past experiences, is ending. I'm silencing the false evidence that fear built its throne upon in your life. You will no longer be paralyzed by what-ifs. You will no longer pause every time boldness is required. The enemy trained your mind to anticipate the worst, but I am retraining your spirit to expect the fulfillment of what I've spoken. I am raising the volume of my presence in your life, not by changing the external circumstances, but by increasing your sensitivity to my leading. What once intimidated you will no longer even disturb your peace. What used to make you shrink back will now cause you to lean forward with authority. The lies that fear screamed about your failure, your past, your identity, your ability, are being drowned out by the truth of who I say you are. I'm not just removing fear, I'm replacing it with clarity. You won't have to try to be brave. You'll simply walk with such conviction in my words that doubt will have no place to attach itself to your mind. You won't even recognize yourself, because the timid version of you is being buried, and a bold, unwavering version is emerging, not from pride, but from presence. I am forming in you the kind of confidence that hell cannot imitate, confidence rooted in knowing I am with you. I go before you, and I cover you. This new season is not about striving harder. It's about stepping lighter. You'll move with ease, not because the path is empty, but because fear no longer controls your stride. Your steps will be steady, even in unfamiliar territory. Your spirit will be anchored, even when the winds rise. Because you won't be navigating by feeling, you'll be moving by my voice. And I'm going to prove to you just how near I've always been. You will begin to notice how I've been speaking all along, in the quiet urgings, the divine interruptions, the unexpected confirmations. I haven't been silent. Fear was just louder. But now that it's being dismantled, you'll begin to discern me again with accuracy. Your yes will be firmer. Your no will carry conviction. You will not be driven by emotion but by revelation. I'm inviting you into this shift, not a moment of courage, but a lifestyle of trust. This is not temporary relief. It's a permanent recalibration of how you hear, how you move, and how you live. You'll notice the difference. Peace won't just visit, it will dwell. Anxiety won't have space to settle. And when fear tries to knock again, you will open the door. You'll recognize it as foreign, out of place, no longer welcome in a life ruled by my voice. You've prayed for confidence. I'm giving you something better, certainty. Not in yourself but in me. You've asked for signs. I'm giving you sensitivity. And from this place, you will no longer negotiate with fear. You'll declare truth, walk forward, and watch the chains that once held you dissolve under the sound of my name spoken from your lips. There are connections in your life that were never part of the destiny I authored for you. Some loud, some subtle, but all corrosive to the purity of what I placed within you. You didn't always recognize it, because the damage wasn't instant. It was slow, gradual, hidden behind smiles, routines, emotional ties, and familiar comforts. But I've been watching what you couldn't see, how certain people and patterns have been leaking toxicity into the places where I intended legacy to grow. And now I'm stepping in. I'm not removing out of punishment. I'm pruning for protection. There are behaviors you've normalized that are quietly eating away at your clarity. There are voices you keep allowing access that are clouding what I'm speaking. You've gotten used to dysfunction wearing the mask of friendship. You've tolerated compromise because it didn't scream rebellion. But I see the truth beneath the surface. And I'm severing what you won't. I'm disrupting what's been distracting you. This is why certain relationships feel strained right now. Why some connections are breaking down without obvious reason. It's not always betrayal. Sometimes it's intervention. Sometimes it's me redirecting you before you build a future on faulty alliances. Not everyone you started with is meant to finish with you. Not every familiar face is carrying loyalty in their heart. Some were sent to your life for a season, but you've kept them for too long. Their presence hath been contaminating your confidence. Their influence has diluted your discernment. And while you've been trying to preserve peace with them, you've been losing peace within yourself. I won't let that continue. Because your calling matters more than keeping things comfortable. I didn't create you to live dependent on voices that keep you stuck. I didn't anoint you so you could please everyone at the expense of your assignment. And it's not just people. I'm confronting the habits that have been hiding beneath the surface. Cycles that feel familiar but aren't fruitful. Routines that look harmless but are rooted in avoidance. I'm shining a light on the internal agreements you made with lies. The ones that told you to play small, to never speak up, to settle because it's safer than starting over. I'm unraveling those quiet agreements you made with fear. The ones that told you, this is just who I am, or things will never change. I never wrote those words over your life. Those beliefs have been silently poisoning the potential I placed within you. So don't resist the shaking. I'm not tearing things down to hurt you. I'm clearing the ground so something unshakable can rise. I'm not exposing these things to shame you. I'm revealing them so they no longer have power over you. The grief you may feel as some relationships fade or certain rhythms break apart is valid. But don't confuse loss with failure. Sometimes subtraction is the first sign of realignment. What feels like disconnection is often divine redirection. I'm not taking things away from you. I'm taking things out of the way for you. You've been praying for growth, but growth requires space, and I'm making room. You've been asking for clarity, and clarity demands quiet. I'm silencing the noise. You've been seeking breakthrough, and breakthrough begins when what's been hindering is removed, even if it's painful. I know it's not easy to let go of what you've adapted to, but I promise you this: what I'm building in you cannot coexist with what I'm removing from you. I'm doing surgery on your soul, not just healing the visible wounds, but uprooting the hidden infections. And when I'm finished, you will look back and realize I didn't just protect your purpose, I preserved your future. You've misread my correction as rejection, but I need you to see what's really happening. I am shielding what I deposited inside you from becoming contaminated by what you were never designed to carry. This isn't punishment, it's preservation. I'm not disciplining you because I'm angry. I'm intervening because I'm invested. I've seen the direction you were heading, and if I had stayed silent, you would have arrived at a place that looked right to your emotions but would have cost your soul dearly. You've taken my interruptions personally, when really, they were evidence of my love. If I didn't care, I would have let you keep going. But I stopped you, blocked you, broke the rhythm, not to embarrass you, but to rescue the very thing I breathed into you before the world named you. You are carrying more than you realize. I placed something eternal inside you, something this world didn't give, and therefore cannot define. And because of that, I guard you differently. I don't let you get away with what others seem to slip through. I don't allow you to get comfortable in compromise. I don't let you blend in when you were called to stand out. You've noticed it, how things fall apart faster when you drift from me. That's not because I'm distant. It's because I'm near. You feel conviction quickly because your heart belongs to me, not to the world. I won't let you go too far without pulling you back. And sometimes, pulling you back means letting things fall apart that you tried too hard to hold together. Sometimes it means letting a plan fail so that a promise can live. You thought I was punishing you by letting that door close. But what you didn't see is that behind that door was a future that would have cost you the very fire I've been fanning inside your soul. I'm not against your dreams. I'm just more committed to your destiny than your comfort. I see the version of you that's fully alive, fully healed, fully surrendered, and I will not let you settle for anything less than that. The resistance you felt, the discomfort you've endured, those were not consequences. They were collisions between my will and your shortcuts. I love you too deeply to bless a version of your life that's beneath the one I wrote for you. That's why I interrupted your plans, not to destroy your hope, but to restore your alignment. I couldn't let you marry that mindset. I couldn't let you sign a covenant with fear and still call it faith. I couldn't allow you to keep covering wounds that needed to be exposed before they infected your future. You've wept over the things I've removed, but I've wept over what would have happened if I hadn't. I've heard your questions, why me, Lord? And my answer is simple, because you matter too much to be left to chance. You're not random. You're not just surviving. You are a key piece in a divine sequence that is unfolding. I've planted destiny inside you, and I will protect it, even if that means allowing things to break that were never built to last. And I know it hurts. I know it feels like loss. But I promise it's grace disguised. The discomfort you feel now will pale in comparison to the glory that will emerge when you see what I was saving you from. So no, this is not punishment. This is me fighting for the future you forgot you asked for. This is me preserving the calling you didn't even know you had. This is me saying, you don't have to settle. Not when I've designed something greater. Let this be the moment you stop viewing my protection as pain. Let this be the day you start recognizing that my delays are often the loudest declarations of my love. Because I am not here to destroy your dreams. I'm here to deliver you into your destiny, and I will stop at nothing to see that through. You've been grieving silently over what slipped through your fingers, opportunities that vanished, relationships that ended without closure, time that felt wasted, and moments that seemed stolen. But I need you to hear this clearly. Nothing that left your life under my watch was meaningless. You saw loss, but I saw clearing. You felt empty, but I was making room. The pain you endured didn't go unnoticed, it was purposeful. And even though you still carry unanswered questions, I want you to know that everything that was removed had to go so what's coming can stand without compromise. I am not the author of confusion, but I do allow endings to speak when words won't. I allowed certain things to unravel, not to hurt you, but to reveal what was hidden: misalignment, disloyalty, stagnation, and things that would have grown more toxic if left untouched. You've stared at closed doors long enough, wondering what you could have done differently. But I am lifting your head now, not to look back with regret, but to look forward with revelation. I don't waste tears. I don't overlook heartbreak. And I don't remove things for sport. I remove what hinders the harvest. There are seasons where I must cut away what you've become attached to, not because you were wrong to love it, but because it couldn't go where I'm taking you. If I had let you keep it, it would have drained the joy out of what I'm about to release. You've been asking me why I let you lose so much. The real question is, why did I love you enough to protect what's ahead, even when it meant allowing the loss of what felt safe? You've been faithful even in your confusion. You held on through instability, and I honor that. But now I want you to shift your focus, not from pain to denial, but from grief to understanding. The next season of your life is going to begin explaining the previous one in ways you never expected. I'm not just bringing restoration, I'm bringing clarity. And when you see what I've prepared, you'll stop calling those losses devastation and start calling them divine redirection. You thought certain people were permanent, but I knew they were only meant to carry you a short distance. You thought that plan was final, but I had something better forming behind the curtain. It looked like some subtraction, but it was preparation for multiplication. There's a purpose in the pieces, even the broken ones. I never let anything fall apart unless I plan to build something better with what remains. You're not starting from scratch, you're starting from strength. The wisdom you gained from that pain is now armor. The insight you received through sorrow is now a sword. The discernment you developed in disappointment is now a shield. You are not behind. You are rebuilt. And I'm about to place something into your hands that your former self wouldn't have known how to steward. When the next doors open, they won't require you to shrink. When the right voices enter, they won't compete with your peace. And when my timing fully collides with your readiness, you'll realize why it couldn't happen any earlier. I didn't delay to punish. I waited to protect. I waited until what's coming wouldn't destroy what I was shaping within you. So don't resent what's gone. Don't idolize what I had to remove. Bless it. Release it. And trust that I'm not done writing. I'm just done letting the wrong thing stay. You've crossed into a new timeline, one where alignment replaces chaos and favor follows obedience. And yes, there will be beauty. There will be laughter again. There will be dreams resurrected, relationships redefined, visions clarified. But most of all, there will be understanding, not just of what I allowed, but of why I allowed it. And in that understanding, your peace will return deeper than before. You've been staring at the closed door, knocking until your knuckles bruised, pleading for it to open again. But I need you to step back and understand. What you perceive as rejection is actually my redirection wrapped in grace. I didn't lock that opportunity because I changed my mind about you. I sealed it shut because I haven't changed my mind about your calling. That door was never going to take you to the place I designed for your spirit to thrive. You saw potential in it, but I saw danger. You saw comfort. I saw compromise. And while you were attaching your future to that outcome, I was already building something better that requires your hands to be free from what you keep trying to reopen. It hurts, I know. You gave your energy, your hopes, your trust. You thought that place, that person, that plan were the pathway to what I promised. But I never told you to anchor your identity in that specific outcome. You mistook the door for the destination. And because of that, you've been stuck in grief over something I never meant to last. But I'm here now, not to shame you, not to scold you, but to gently pull you forward. I didn't create you to worship what closed. I created you to follow me when I move. And I'm moving now, forward, into new landscapes, into divine positioning, into a future that holds the real fulfillment, not the illusion of it. You keep asking, why would you allow me to get so close if it wasn't meant to be? And my answer is this: I was never after the outcome. I was after your heart. I wanted your trust. I wanted your obedience. I wanted your willingness to let go of what you built in your own strength so I could lead you into something that would last beyond emotion, beyond pressure, beyond human effort. I never asked you to understand the closing. I asked you to trust the hand that holds the key. You don't need all the answers to walk forward. You just need to believe that I never remove without the intention to replace, and not just with anything, but with something that aligns perfectly with your growth, your preparation, and my glory. A door you've been longing to go back through. It wouldn't bless you now. It would bind you. It wouldn't